the restroom, but we're just going to keep on trucking. So, meet Scully. She's my favorite. Okay, we're only talking about these two muscles, but this is the Bermuda Triangle that we've been discussing, right? So SCM lives right back here. This is where we're talking about getting that clicking type of stuff happening as this mastoid process is coming closer to the mandible. That's what we've been talking about this whole time, okay? Now let's talk about the sandwich on top, which really, if we talk about platysma, platysma is actually the most superficial muscle. So platysma wraps on top of all of this. Okay, so when we're doing that stretch, and I was telling you to palpate through this mandible area, probably some of you felt little niches through there. It was like, ooh, it's a little beefed up. That's because there's some other guys underneath it, okay? So one of the main ones is masseter, but I want to bring your attention to temporalis. We are not going to palpate temporalis, but look at where this guy goes, okay? So when I say the coronoid process, we think of the mandible. The internal portion that we can actually touch is where the tip of this guy sits. So he just sits on the whole thing under here, okay? So when we're actually inside, you can get the fascia of this guy and a tiny bit of the tendon. It's hard to get movement from there. So when we talk about doing temporalis, it's actually that we're going to counter pressure while we're inside, okay? So, and Scully's being difficult, I will say, you got to hit it just right with that coronoid. Okay.
I always say that.
That's what she said, right? Without taking off all the face muscles, I wanted to leave it on there because you're going to feel, as we're in there, you're going to feel all these things. We're going to do it with ourself first. So I'm going to bring some Kleenexes around because, yes, these do cause salivation, okay? And we need to normalize that so that later, when our client's like halfway drooling, we've already given them a tissue and we've already had a discussion with them and that it's normal, okay? So the last thing we want to do is have somebody come in and be embarrassed that they salivated, especially if they've been suffering from dry mouth, right? So we're trying to help. So we put Scully back. If you want to look up here, this is, when I was looking for temporalis and masseter pictures, she's just a real beaut. I just couldn't pass her up. They also even said, clench jaw. I know when I clench my jaw. That's how I feel. So anyway, I just had to have a laugh with you. All right, TMJ and TMD. What is the difference? You're going to see this written down. Classes for TMD. Okay. If you see a class written with a J, it just means they're discovering things with the joint and things related to the joint. If we're talking about TMD, we're talking about disorders of that joint, okay? So some people will be like, they're interchangeable. Not really, they're actually very specific. So if we're talking about, that clicking, that popping, that's TMD. That's a disorder associated with your TMJ, right? So TMJ's location, TMD is sort of symptom, right? Let's glove up and find this stuff ourselves. Where did